First, greetings, nice to meet you, and thank you very much for your time. Greetings from Peru. My name is Victor Alvarez, and my first question will be, how did the idea of adapting Michael Morpurgo's book come about?
Well, the original idea was in the mind of producer Sarah Radcliffe, who has made a lot of films in the UK over the last 40 years, mostly live action. And she was originally going to do Kensuke's Kingdom as a live action film, but it was going to be too complicated working with orangutans, having children in the ocean with an independent sized budget. So that's when she had the thought of doing animation. But Sarah had always been passionate about turning this book into a film, and she optioned the book 20 years ago. So it's been a very, very long process for her. And about half that long for Neil and I. We came on board about 10 years ago. 2.5 years of production, but before that there was about 8 years of raising money. So it's a very, very long process to get a film like this, an independent film like this, made. So she when she's looking for animators, I'd just done something for the World Wildlife Fund quite recently at that point, and she then invited me and Neil on to, because Neil and I were working together at an animation company in Soho in central London. So we pitched our version of the film to her, which she really liked, and then we came on board. So the first thing we read was Frank Cottrell Boyce's screenplay, and then we read the book. So the key difference, the thing that Frank had done, was to get rid of all the dialogue. So essentially it became more like a silent film, which is the kind of films that Neil and I really like, where you use music and body language and editing and blocking to tell the story and not dialogue. So because we think it sort of involves the audience a lot more. The audience need to be solving what's going on all the time, which draws them in a little bit more than if it's just somebody talking, telling you. So that's, initially that was our original thing that drew us in, because we like that kind of filmmaking. And then of course there is, the book, and the story is very, very rich in themes, which we liked. Particularly the themes of our need for connection and our need for families, whether they're our own families or somebody else's families who's adopting us, or the more broader family of species mixing together, in the case of Kensuke and the orangutans, and Michael and Stella. And so there's a lot going on in the story that we really liked.
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Victor.
Excuse me, forgive me. How did you decide to make the adaptation via animation instead of live action?
Well, that was Sarah's decision. Because she was originally she had a background in live action, but it was going to be too complicated. So then she thought we could do this in animation. So that was her decision. And Neil and I, Neil has a big background in animation, and I've a small background in animation. But so that's why we got brought on board.
But it's probably good for the film, because even if Sarah had the budget to do a live action film, you would need to use trained actor orangutans that appear in movies. These actually exist, and orangutans with their own trailers and all this kind of stuff. And to be honest, that wouldn't really work for the message of the film if you had trained domestic orangutans pretending to be wild animals. And equally, if you kind of had CG computer graphics orangutans sort of pretend one, again, it doesn't feed into the naturalism of the film. So I think the idea of taking this into animation, and Kirk and I, my choice to make it hand-drawn animation, basically an illustration come to life, like a almost like looking at a picture book come to life, meant that we could stay true to the themes, and we weren't we weren't cheating behind the scenes. We could draw it from the heart and straight out onto the screen in a way that I think really suited the story very well.
Yeah, it's very organic style.
Thank you. What do you hope will be the reaction of the Latin American viewer? And when you film a movie, do you do it with the audience in mind?
Well, we hope the reaction, I mean, so far the reaction everywhere, that Kirk and I have traveled quite a lot with the film already, And the wonderful thing is that people seem to react on a really universal level. So it doesn't matter what culture they've come from. And in fact, doesn't seem to matter what age they are either. We've had quite young children in the audience and really, really old people that are coming in on walking sticks. And the reaction to it seems to be very genuine and very warm. And as the lights come up, you know, lots and lots of people are wiping away tears. And lots of people have contacted us from around the world after screening, saying that they're discussing it. The whole family is still discussing ideas and themes from the film days after they've seen the film. So, you know, we hope the same will be true as it opens there with you, that people will connect with it and feel warmth to it.
One last question for both of you. Can you tell me your 3 favorite animated movies?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So Fantasia is one, because my mum used to take me to it used to show for a week every year in London, and it introduced me to classical music and orchestral music, and I love the imagery. So that's one, Fantasia. I loved a British film called Watership Down, which was made on a very low budget, but it's quite a tough film. It's not that dissimilar in a way to Kensuke in its tone, that it doesn't try to sugarcoat things, and it shows nature, how tough nature can be. That would be my second one. Gosh, what would my third one be? Probably go all the way back to Snow White. I'm a traditionalist, so the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I think, is a beautiful piece of filmmaking and an extraordinary piece of editing in terms of its storytelling and the pace of it. So I picked those 3.
I would say The Triplets of Belleville by Sylvain Chomet, which, have you seen that one? It's a French animated film about 20 years ago, but the first 20 minutes when they're in Paris is just, again, silent filmmaking. So you have to work the entire thing out yourself, but it's just beautifully put together, that first 20 minutes. And my second one would be a newish one called The Red Turtle, which a lot of people have compared Kensuke to, but it actually came out, we'd already started Kensuke's Kingdom when The Red Turtle came out. So if anything, rather than influence us, we were trying to avoid being too much like The Red Turtle. But the one thing maybe we did I took away from it was that you could tell this kind of story with no dialogue, because there's no dialogue in The Red Turtle. So it gave me the confidence to know that and I was watching it with an audience of 3-year-olds up to 70-year-olds, and all of them were engaged. So I felt confident that Kensuke could do a similar thing and engage a young audience. And then the third one would be Dumbo, really, because that was the first film I ever saw. And I still like it. And there's some beautiful songs and some heartbreaking scenes in it, but it was the first film I ever saw, so I have to put that one in.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Victor. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Victor, Kirk, Neil. Bye-bye.